Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with allthingsbbq.com, and this is Donut Bread Pudding. Well, if you guys are watching this on release day, then Merry Christmas to you. Today we've got a sweet treat for you. It's donut bread pudding. So if you're sitting at home right now trying to figure out what you're gonna make for brunch, you might want to treat yourself with this one. And you might even have a lot of these ingredients on hand. Today we're gonna be turning a bunch of donuts into donut bread pudding. We're essentially making donuts better, which doesn't sound like a thing, but it's a thing. So the bread for our bread pudding today is going to be glazed donuts, just regular run-of-the-mill glazed donuts. But we can't use them just the way they are right now. We need them to be a little bit tougher so that they hold some structure as we cook these in our bread pudding. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna cut these into like eighths, essentially. We're gonna get them onto a sheet pan and into the grill to dry them out a bit. I'm already using donuts that are a couple days old, and you can start that process if you've got leftover ones, and these are donuts that you're probably gonna just throw away anyway. Those are the ones you wanna use. You can also use fresh ones and just completely dry them out in the grill. All right, so we're just gonna spread these out on a parchment-lined sheet pan, and then we'll head over to the grill. So that's about 10 donuts, or about 1.5 pounds worth of donuts right there. Now today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640S pellet grill. We're running at 350 degrees with cherry pellets. We're essentially using the Yoder as an oven today. So we've got an indirect setup. We're gonna be running at 350 for the entirety of the cook. Now the other crucial component to a bread pudding other than the bread is the custard. So that's what we're gonna put together next. Now for our custard today, we're gonna need 8 eggs, but 4 of those we're just gonna be using the yolks. So we'll separate these out, put the yolks in one bowl and the whites in the other. And then we're gonna add our whole eggs to those yolks in there. Now we're gonna bring our custard together in this large bowl so that we can also add our donut pieces when they're done on the grill. We'll go ahead and just get these eggs whisked up so that they work into the cream. And we're gonna add to the eggs 1 quart of half and half. And we're gonna keep this breakfast vibe going with a little bit of maple syrup, a couple tablespoons. And then we need just a little bit of salt in here as well. So I'm gonna estimate about half a teaspoon of our hickory smoked salt. And this is ready for the donuts and the rest of the internal garnish. Well, this has been going for about 25-30 minutes here. And what we're looking for is when you kind of pick these up and squeeze them, they should be a little bit tough on the surface like a crouton. They still have some give, but they're gonna harden up even more as they cool off. Well, the donuts, they're cooling off now. We don't wanna throw them into the custard super hot. So in the meantime, we've got a couple of those internal garnishes, just a little extra flavor, a little extra texture that we're gonna add to the bread pudding, and we're gonna prepare those. So here we have some dried cranberries. We really don't need to do anything to these. You could rehydrate these ahead of time, but honestly, there's enough liquid in the bread pudding custard that we don't need to do that. We also have some candied pecans. So these are like praline style candied pecans. We're just gonna chop these up so that most of them are more like that size. We're also gonna take the zest off of 1 navel orange, just a little essence of that citrus, that's all we're gonna need. So we'll zest this up with the microplane. We've just taken off that top super aromatic layer and leaving the bitter pith behind. All right, donuts are cooled off, so they're going into the custard now. And we need to give our donuts some time to really soak up that custard. We're gonna get all the ingredients in here and we'll let it sit for about 10 minutes. So we get our donuts, we got our candied pecans, our orange zest, and our dried cranberries. All right, so we're gonna toss this around to make sure that every little bit of that, or as much of the donut as possible, can get soaking up the liquid. We want some of this donut to kind of just fall apart and some of it to hold its shape so we have some variance in the texture of the bread pudding. Let's just let it sit now. So while we're waiting, we're gonna grease up a cast iron skillet, and this is what we're gonna bake our bread pudding in. Just got like a half tablespoon of butter here that we're gonna rub all around on the surface. So this is what it looks like after about a 10-minute soak, then a stir, and then another 5 to 10 minutes. But really what's important is you want to look for these pieces that are still kind of holding their structure. But also at the same time, a lot of this is just kind of disintegrated into the custard. So you've got a nice variety of those two things. So we're going to transfer all of this right to our 12-inch skillet. Make sure that we've kind of got all of that evenly distributed. And then one last thing before we go back to the grill, we're gonna put a little bit of a raspberry habanero jam on top of this. And any kind of jam would be great, but this chili dogs has great flavor, just a subtle amount of heat to it. Nice sweetness, fruitiness. We're just gonna kind of dollop it around here. We'll let that kind of melt away while the custard cooks. So we're right back onto the Yoder top shelf, still 350. We're gonna close it up and let this bake to set the custard. The bread pudding's been on for about an hour now and it's looking great. I wanna show you guys. All right, here we go. So as you can see, it kind of starts to do this souffle thing at the end where it pops up, and it does that right there at the end, which is a good indicator that you're close to done. You should have a nice jiggle in the middle still when we shake it. And if you just really want to test, I'll take a little thermometer, digital thermometer, and we'll make sure that we get one past 165 right there in the center. That's right where we're at. Well, our bread pudding's still warm. It's rested for about 5 minutes, so it's actually still nice and hot. As you can see, it's kind of settled in a bit. I love these edge pieces because they have that nice bit of crustiness, but you're still gonna get this like super moist bit of bread pudding. None of this is gonna be dry. This is not a dry bread pudding. I think to finish it off, what would be nice is to do a little bit of cinnamon and powdered sugar over the top. Of course, there's any number of ways you could finish this off. You could do whipped cream or ice cream with it if you're doing kind of a dessert. You could just pour a little cream over the top. That'd be nice as well. We're gonna hit it with that cinnamon sugar. We'll do a few more of those pralines and a little drizzle of maple syrup. There it is. Look at that thing jiggle. Let's get a taste. That was nice. That reminds me, like, beyond the bread pudding part, if you took donuts and made them into like a French toast, it's sweet for sure. This is one of those sweet brunch items bordering on the line of dessert. But man, it's tasty. I love the maple syrup in there. Just a little bit of tartness from the cranberries. And then if you dig into some of that jam on the top, it's got just a little bit of spiciness to it from the raspberry preserves with the habaneros. That's a great little brunch dish. And I don't know if you ever have donuts left over, but if you do, turn them into bread pudding. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out allthingsbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to allthingsbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.